Well, hello, howdy, and hi to everybody out there. Of course, we have another podcast with Ancient Path Remnant. Today is going to be about an experience that we both had, and I think everyone who has had the same experience, and most of us never ever even met the dog that we're going to be talking about, a dog named Rose that I'd never met. Now, of course, Sis Tiffany here did have the luxury of meeting this animal, and the insights that came from a short interlude with Yah's love through this wondrous creation are immense. So, Sis, please give us a little background, because all I know is it from third hand. So.
Yeah, so I did a video about Rose on my channel, and so she was starving. She came on a Shabbat, and she lay under some trees, but I was able to see her near the house, which was amazing because this area that she came to, that she could have gone to like any home there. It's out in the country, so it's just amazing that she was even able to get there, and she was starving to death, and it was her last, like literally her last effort to get somewhere. And I just found it amazing. And if you want to hear the whole story, it's on my channel. The starving pit bull arrived on Sabbath. But she, I found her there and she was starving. She couldn't move at all. She was exhausted. It was her last effort to get to somewhere. And I'm way out in the country, and just amazing to me that was her last effort. She was exhausted. She was on the verge of death. She lay under some trees where she could actually be seen, because there are so many other trees she could have, chosen on the property that she would never have been seen. And, I knew it was the hand of Yah bringing her. And I also, once I started to try to feed her and found out she was sweet and kind, I was feeding her and giving her water and things, and she turned out to be a very sweet dog. And I just knew that she was the dog that I was going to take care of. I wasn't going to let anyone else ever abandon her or leave her. I just knew that Yah had brought her for a reason, and there were a whole lot of lessons to learn from this dog. So I had Rose for 11 days, and I knew she had health problems. I knew that was, something she was struggling with, some health problems, because she was so severely malnourished and dehydrated, and she probably, who knows why she was abandoned, and possibly because of some health problems. I don't know. She still had a collar on her, but no information on it. And Rose passed away in her sleep peacefully. She found a place to, rest and be happy here for 11 days. I knew I did not get through this without some emotion. But she was loved and cared for, and so her last days were very much, she found a place, just like we find our place with our Father, our Creator, through His Son. We come home. It's a prodigal son story. I feel like you're out in the world and you're searching for something, and you're so starved in the world. And I just remember my own story. So anyway, this came about. I wanted to share that she has, she passed away in her sleep on the 11th day. And there's so many messages that can be gleaned from her story that I think that we all need to just see how much she impacted us. So many people have told me she impacted their lives. They never even knew her. And you being one of them, Eric, and, you and your wife have 4 dogs. You have dogs, and you have, you have animals, and but you never even met her, and you had a love for her. And so you're going to share some insights you've had. This is a great learning experience for me, an incredible learning experience of 11 days that I'm hoping we can sort of share some of what we've learned from Rose I think this message lives on. Her little spirit lives on because she taught us so much about what love truly looks like. Just because she was a pit bull, there was this impression that she might be vicious and wicked and evil, because of her circumstances, because, who knows how she was treated, but she ended up being the most loving, sweet little thing, just the kindest, most loyal dog I've ever had. And even in 11 days, I didn't have to train her. She just followed me. She was just my loyal little friend. She did everything that I asked her from the minute I called her Rose. I just knew that she came out of thorny places because she had scratches all over her, but her disposition was so beautiful and blooming, rose-like. She was a beautiful flower to me, because in that condition that she was in, so starved on the verge of death, she was so sweet and kind, and she chose not to be vicious. She chose to be a loving, sweet, kind little dog, and taught me a lot myself about what I want to look like, how, no matter how much we get, rejected in the world, or feel like we're misunderstood, or how, whatever happens in our lives, all the things that we feel starved out in the world, we can still bloom and blossom in the loving arms of our Father and His Son, through the power of the Ruach HaKodesh. So anyway, I'll let you share some things that you wanted to share, Eric, and how this dog really can impact us and show us what true love and loyalty really is, and all the messages YAHUAH spoke through her in 11 days.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my experience is even far less than the 11. When you told us on Shabbat about her and you sent us pictures, it immediately struck me not only that she was starving, and immediately I saw her disposition. I saw her head, her ears were back, not as in excited or upset or anything like that, but just as tame, like she was humbled. And she had the appearances of a war-torn life. We don't know her backstory really, but you can assume some things. Immediately I thought of that, how we come before our Heavenly Father, that the world can break you, or you can just humble yourself, because like I said, she could have come anywhere on Shabbat, but she came to your house. And it's amazing that she came there hungry, thirsty. Says, I was hungry and you gave me food, and I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I thought of that. I thought of being hungry for the Word, how it is a reflection of the world at large. How many of us are starving for the Word? How many people out there won't know? It says that the road is difficult, it's travailed, and the gate is narrow, and few that will find it. And you think about those things, and you say, so few, but there's so many on the broad road to destruction. And you think they're starving. And it says, my children die daily for lack of knowledge. We lack His understanding, His wisdom. We lack that knowledge. We lack the bread of life and the waters of life. And so, in a very real sense, we got to see some of those scriptures played out right before our eyes through a simple dog. So many profound lessons learned through such a simple message. I didn't even know this dog. I've never been so affected by a dog I never met in my entire life. I knew immediately, and the messages just keep rolling in. And then the more I heard about other people had similar experiences, I was like, even people who aren't walking with Yah, that don't even, whatever their relationship is, they saw it too. And that's the amazing thing, that this was a message not only for each and every one of us individually, a reflection of ourselves in that animal, but it was a collective message, one for all of us, to come humble, come hungry, to receive of the Word, to receive of that love and that compassion and that kindness, and to be a reflection of the fruit of the Ruach that we're also often told all throughout Scripture. We see that we will reap what we sow. And we see that it didn't matter that it was the last hour, the 11th hour, as Dawood said. It didn't matter that it was literally the last hour. It reminded me of the workers in the field. That it didn't matter if you had been there a lifetime and knew her story, or if you had only known her for a short period of time. Myself, I didn't know her at all. Yet I could see the wages of humility and searching for that kindness and that love of the Messiah. In YAHUAH, I could see that starving world in her. I could see that my starving self. I could also see that she laid back, like you said. Perhaps she had a horrible life, a war-torn life. Perhaps it was just the last little bit of her life that was like that. We don't know for sure. We can make a lot of assumptions given the breed. But however, whenever it took place, she laid that behind her, because obviously she went through something before she got to you. Before she got to that farm under those trees on Shabbat, she went through something. And instead of bringing that mistrust and distrust and that anger and the violence that breed can often be prone to because of how they're treated, they can lash out. Now, they can be very loving dogs, but typically there has to be a relationship there. But an instantaneous relationship with a dog that might have been abused, that might have at least gone through some things. I'm sure shoot off of more than one property. Most people are scared to death of pit bulls, at least abused in the way that no one was willing to receive her in. And it reminded me of the state that we were in. It says, yet while we were sinning, he died for us. While we were in the act, while we were in the commission of sin, he laid everything down for us. That we too are seeking that. That when we come to him humbly, and he asks that we come humble, that we humble ourselves before him, and he'll lift us up. She came humble. She came starving. She came thirsty. She came ready for a compassionate hand, for kindness. And she bore all the fruit of the Ruach, temperament. She had loyalty, faithfulness. Her last days were spent as a lesson to each and every one of us. And I think that each and every one of us, as you even hear this story, if you see the video, if you go on Ancient Path Remnant and you watch and you look at the dog, see what you see in her. See the message, because he's talking to us in these days. It's no accident you named her Rose. I thought immediately of the flowers and the trees and the things that he'd been showing us. And I thought, just like the harbinger of what's to come from the almond flower before it fully opens is like a megaphone. It looks like a conical shape right before it opens to reveal, itself to the world. That she too was a megaphone to us. A megaphone on how the Father wants us to come before him. A megaphone of no matter what you've gone through your life, no matter what you've been through, that there's peace, that there's rest, that there's love, kindness, and compassion in him. And those willing vessels, those empty vessels, see, that's the thing we have to do. We have to empty ourselves. This is no greater time than right now that we empty ourselves, that we clean the inside of the cup out. That means everything's got to go. It's a fire sale. So that she had been emptied out. She emptied herself out before you. And what'd she find? Exactly what we'll find when we search the Father in the same way. So there's so much that came and so much that is coming from this. I want to welcome people. If you too watch that video and you have insights and you want to say jump on and do a Zoom, or you want to jump on and just talk about it, we would love to hear what insights you got, because I think there's very personal insights. I think there's a reflection in that animal for every single one of us, whether we're broken or whether we had a decent life, whether we've been searching the Father out our whole lives, or whether we came at the last hour, whether we bowed our head and we showed compassion, kindness, tenderness. We laid down our past. We emptied our cup. See, our past is part of what fills our cup. Empty it. Empty it all. Get rid of it all. It's excess baggage you don't need. And let him fill you with his kindness, compassion, and love. There's so much. Like I said, I've myself am fighting back tears now because I saw Yah in that dog. I didn't know the dog, but I know Yah was speaking to each and every one of us through her. It's amazing. It's absolutely His compassion and His love towards us extended to even the smallest of creatures. Like I said before to you, that all creation declares Him. This simple creature declared Him in a big way, and I think the impact is going to be grand, and the ripples from that are going to extend across the ocean. And I'm looking forward to hearing what other people glean from this as well. And I'm so thankful, and I'm so thankful to Yah that He brought her into your life, and thereby brought it into each and every one of our lives.
Yeah, you know, you think about it being, sometimes people think it's just an animal, you know, and it's profound the messages YAHUAH can use through just an animal or a situation. I knew it was something special. I knew it was from Yah. I knew it was a message. And, you know, I'd really thought that she was going to be a survivor story. But in that same lesson of only having her 11 days, it made me then really self-reflect and say, no one knows what tomorrow will bring. It's in YAHUAH's hands when, you know, our last day is.
Yeah.
And it made me reflect and say, am I doing everything I can to seize each day as a gift? Did I do enough? Are we doing enough to truly show one another that we love each other the way YAHUAH wants us to love our brothers and sisters? Are we, you know, aren't we really seizing the time? Aren't we supposed to be making the most of the time? And the present is a gift, and it really made me see that we need to stop worrying about the past and stop worrying about the future, and, you know, let YAHUAH worry about those things other than preparing. You know, preparation isn't worrying, but we prepare for things, but the worry doesn't help us to seize and to enjoy and embrace the moment. And I was like, did I do enough for, you know, do I do enough for the people that I know? Am I, you know, showing them the love they deserve? Am I doing enough? Because no one's guaranteed a tomorrow. And it really helped me to see that one thing we can do is kind of say, well, I'm sad because I don't have that situation anymore. I don't have that person. Or I chose to look at it like, I got to enjoy 11 days with her. I got to experience that. I was joyful for that. I was sad that I didn't have any more, but that I got to be her last days. And if you think about people as being even, you know, more important to Yah, that we don't know. So are we doing enough each day to show that we love one another, that we truly are forgiving of one another? And it's so easy to get our feelings hurt, and so easy to drink those bitter waters and to retain those things that cause us to be angry and hurtful. But she didn't let what she went through dictate her life. Evidently, she didn't let whatever her past was and this near starvation and death place to make her bitter or angry or vicious or evil. There wasn't a mean bone in this dog's body. She was loved. I mean, she just was so joyful to have someone petting her and loving on her and feeding her. She was so grateful. And I think that is a lesson for all of us, that we can choose to be bitter and angry over the past and the way we've been treated and mistreated, or we can forgive and let it go and bloom like a beautiful rose in this world and truly be a light to others. And that's what she kind of gave me. It's like, this dog is in a way, is something to live up to, because despite these horrible conditions she was in, she chose to be sweet and kind and loving. Whenever I would pet her, she didn't even flinch. She wasn't scared of my hand. And I think of that love our Father has for us, that, in the world, we put up a guard, because we've been so hurt in the world by people and situations and rejection in our childhoods, and whatever happened, we were really starving in the world. We can't, but don't fear the hand of Yah, because he loves us so much.
It says his perfect love casts out all fear. And that's exactly right. She lived that in that moment. That love that she felt, that kindness and compassion she felt from you. It's the same thing as when the Father's reaching his hand out to us. That strong arm, powerful right hand that's reaching out to us. He doesn't want us to fear his love and compassion, but to live fully in it. Like you said before, today is a present. It's a gift. And Psalm 118:24 says that. It says, "This is the day that YAHUAH has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it." It's a day for rejoicing and giving thanks to YAHUAH, because every day is a gift. I know we often say it becomes like a platitude, but you're absolutely right, and she showed you that. And in a roundabout way, she showed many people. I know every single person that you talked to was impacted by her, and they never even laid a hand on her. I mean, how often do you hear of something like that? I mean, it didn't have to be a video they saw that made them, well up with compassion. Just hearing about the circumstances, they felt something. That's Yah. That's it. That's his hand in it. I have cried more over that dog, and just really over the tender mercy and compassion Yah showing us in these times, that harbinger of his hand coming upon the world, of things coming, to fruition, his desire and his will coming in our lives, because he would take time out to use something so simple to speak to the hearts of all of us, is moving. It says that he cares for us. It says that he cares for us, that he cares what happens to us, that he has plans for us. Our Heavenly Father, the creator of all things, individually knows every hair upon our head. He was there when he knitted the bones in our mother's womb. He knows us individually, each and every hair on our head. That's amazing, and he cares for us, each individually. So much so that he'll take time out to make sure that we all get a message from a dog we never met. It's amazing to me.
Well, and it's interesting because it's when she came to the house and she started to eat and she was able to get back up and walk around, and it truly was as if she found home, just like we find our home with our Father. And it's like, again, that prodigal son story, you just run home into his arms.
Yeah.
It's like she found her home. And from the first day I called her Rose. I don't know why I did at the time. That was just the name. And then I kind of realized it later, but from the minute I called her that, and I would say, "Come here, Rose," she would answer, she would come. She knew her name. And I think of YAHUAH 43 or Isaiah 43.
Yeah.
I won't read it all, but "Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you go through the rivers, they will not overwhelm you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be scorched. The flames will not set you ablaze." These promises that our Father has for us, that he showed me through this dog, is that we are at home with him. He calls us by our name. We hear him. And there's this love that casts out all fear. We've been so starved and malnourished from the world, and fed a bunch of, GMO lies, a bunch of GMO food that has spiritually caused us to be just starved to death and not healthy. And we come back into his presence and we receive that, heavenly manna.
Yeah.
And that living water, and it just refreshes the inner being and restores us. really understanding that. I think we need to understand that we are at home with him. We are in his presence. His hand is, holding us and comforting us and feeding us. And we have to understand that, yes, he corrects his children, and he has to, because it keeps us, safe from going astray, from going back out into that famished world. That doesn't mean we're not in the world. We're just not of it. It doesn't mean we don't have to go there to do things, but we're in the world, but not of it.
Yeah, we don't let it overcome us. It's funny that the verse, I was actually looking at those very verses in YAHUAH, Isaiah 43, 18 and 19. It says, forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the desert and streams in a wasteland.
So good.
It's
so true.
Yeah. It's like we were talking about. She emptied herself before you. She emptied herself that you might fill her with love and compassion. Like the Father says, empty yourself. Forget the former things. Don't dwell on the past. He's doing a new thing in you. Each day that we become a whole new person in him. When we walk in him, we have a renewed mind and a renewed heart in him. And what a profound way of showing us this. What a profound, simple way of stressing that very message. I mean, what did Matthew, doesn't it tell us in 6, or it says, don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow has enough worries of its own, that each day is a trouble of its own.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to tell us to do. Psalm 118:24 says, the day YAHUAH has made, let's be glad and rejoice in it. I mean, this is the day he made. Those 11 days, and there's a lot of profound things to be seen in that 11, and the verses that we could pull up too. It's astonishing.
It's amazing how just a little dog could bring so much light into the world and into my world. And she was a reflection of all of us. She reflected my life, how I felt sort of in the world, spiritually, just so, drought and dehydrated from the world and needing to be revived. And everyone I've talked to has felt the same thing. They see themselves in her story, that we know most of us were near death at some point in the world, through our health or whatever situation. There was there's been just, you felt like you were at the verge of death. And in some way or another, it could be like just even mentally,
Sure.
It didn't have to be physically, but it could be just be, you feel like you're at the end of your rope. And, but she just reflected so much of that, and how she didn't let her circumstances, cause her to be that bitter, angry dog that she could have been.
Yeah.
I just think it's a big message for us that really, like I said before, we don't know how long anyone has, and everyone that I've ever lost, a family member or loved one, they always said they had wanted to, spend more time or do more. They always had regrets. And I just think, if we're supposed to exhibit the fruits of the Spirit, the fruits of the YAHUAH, we should be blooming and blossoming no matter what the season, no matter what the circumstance is. Because, if you think of a tree going through seasons, it has to go through, all the different seasons and weather the storms.
Yeah.
But a big mighty tree can withstand the storms, not a little tender shoot. That's much harder. So we need to be blooming, blossoming trees, and for his kingdom, a light in this world, and not choose the bitter waters, and realize we have to embrace each day as a gift. And like you said, this is the day YAHUAH has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it, that despite what we go through, that we can still be a light in this world, despite what, refinement and process we have to go through, that YAHUAH puts us through, that we rejoice through the struggles, that we will embrace each day and choose to love and not hate.
Yeah, we get great insight in Ephesians 5:15 about that too. It says, "Be very careful then how you live, not as the unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity." And it tells us about Colossians 4. It says, "Walk in the wisdom towards outsiders, making the best use of your time. And let your speech always be tempered with kindness, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you ought to answer each person." And like I said, there's so many things that this simple 11 days for you and no days for me, this simple message that we see, all of this, like I said, it's not an accident. It's not us longing to see. It's like we get enough, but I know I get enough things coming in, and you get enough things coming in. It's like he didn't have to use this animal, but he did. And how we approach him and how we approach each other and how we deal with one another, this is the most profound, simplistic thing ever. It's like, this is exactly how we should be with one another. This is what laying down your life. No greater love has any man that he should lay down his life for his brother. Do we lay down our lives? Do we lay down our past? Do we lay down what we want to do and what came before, that we might be of service to another, that we might show that kindness and that compassion extended out to our brethren? Or do we just argue? We have to searching to be right, prideful, certain of our certainty. This is that emptying of the cup. That's cleaning the inside of the cup. And it's at this time as we're fast approaching, the week of Pesach is amazing. On Shabbat, approaching the feast of Pesach, with all that he's given about the harbingers and about cleaning the cup and about our words and the things that we say and the things that we think having such a profound effect. That dog didn't speak a word, but you heard every word it said. That's amazing.
Yeah, she didn't speak a word, but she was full of love. And she would have rather been, just have you pet her and have that compassion. She was looking for compassion. I just think about people in the world who are suffering, and a lot of us on this journey, it can be very lonely, and you're seeking compassion from people. And can we, we really need to understand that on the inside, when people act hurt, they're usually hurt people, hurt people hurt people. And we have to allow a healing and restoration in our lives so that we no longer bite each other the way the world does. The world will, bite you. And we need to really understand that there is a level of compassion and mercy that our Messiah walked with. He reproved the Pharisees because of their pride, arrogance, hypocrisy, their false teachings. But he was merciful and compassionate to people who needed it, who needed to see some mercy that these other ones were not giving. And something we talked about on Sabbath was the parable of the Good Samaritan. And, these parables that our Messiah gave us were for a reason, to teach us what they want from us, what our Father wants from us,
right,
what that walk should look like, what's going to separate the sheep from the goats. It's what you did, how we treated one another, because in treating each other well, we are honoring our Father by his commandments and how we treat one another. It's an overflow. And I think about in my own life, like my own brother. Well, my own brother and I had struggles for many years with each other. And when our mom, she got sick and she passed on, and this is many years ago now, but at the time, my brother and I couldn't even be in the same room together.
Yeah.
And she's sick, and it's like, my mom, she literally said, like, some of her last words were, "I just want my children to get along." And my brother and I did reconcile, but this was years after that. And when he and I talked about, well, what was this thing between us that we always had? And it was like, both of us said we don't even know. We don't even know what we just didn't get along. There was just this hurt. We hurt over non-circumstantial things, that just circumstances from our childhood or whatever. We just struggled with each other, and we didn't even know why. And we talked about it years later, and we reconciled. And it's like, that's a great place to be, when you can just forgive each other. So I forgave him, he forgave me, we reconciled, and it's like, you'll never regret being able to reconcile if it's on both ends, and just walk with love and be ready to forgive. It doesn't mean if people really hurt you and they're going to do it again, you don't have to have that restored relationship. But you have to forgive people and move forward in life. And I just think of Rose, so mistreated. Whatever her life was, she was thrown out, somehow abandoned.
Yeah.
And she was pure love, and she bloomed here, and she had a good 11 days of love. And, that was those were her last days, not that day where she lay down to die, but she had a good end to her life. And whatever we can do to show love, I think, YAH's love, YAH's righteous love, be a light in this world. She taught me a lot about how to overcome circumstances, really. And I think she taught all of us that.
Yeah. Like I said, there'll be people that'll hear this, that'll go watch your video, and they too will see it, because they've now heard what the effect it's had on us, and each person will see themselves in that. They'll see themselves with, I think a lot of people say, I have to lay down my past. I have to walk in forgiveness before if I have a brother holds anything against me, before I even offer up the bulls of my lips to YAHUAH, I have to go and, make things right, or at least extend that forgiveness. You may not always. Sometimes, people are cut out of your life, and that's up to YAH. But that holding that poison, it's just poisoning our lives. And it's not emptying our cups. It's not emptying the wineskin. We're in our old wineskin trying to fill it with new wine, and it won't hold. And it's such a wonderful thing. I was looking at Micah 6:8. It says, YAHUAH has declared to you, O man, what is right. And what does YAHUAH require of you? But to do what is right, and to do love, and to love loving commitment, and to walk humbly with your Elohim. Like I said, all of this and this is just scratching the surface. We've talked about so much of what each and every individual is going to get out from, your friend talking to you about, this is part of the ministry. We're a walking ministry and a testimony in our life, not of where we came from, but where he's brought us today. And some people will find solace in the fact that we've come from similar circumstances, but believe me, we've all come from similar circumstances. The world has lied to us. It's continually lying to us. It's deceiving us and cheating us out of a fulfilled life in YAH through his Son. We have been deceived, and we have been utterly beaten and oppressed by a world. And guess what? I'm fine with it. I don't hold on to any of my past at all. I hold no grudges against anyone. I ask forgiveness from everyone, that I can walk in that light, that I too can come before the Father, seeking that hand where he says, well done, good and faithful servant. That what little he gave me in that last hour, because oftentimes I say, I wish I had known about this earlier. I wish I had come to this understanding earlier. And this kind of drove home, not just the workers in the field, but this drove home, it doesn't matter when I came in. The reward's the same. The payment's the same. It's the free gift that his Son gave to each and every one of us, eternal life, that we might serve the Father and worship and love and perfection. And we all get that. That's the grand gift that we can give to everybody. It's that message of love, that message of forgiveness, and that message of eternity with a loving, kind, compassionate Father who just seeks to have us by his side. it's a beautiful picture, and I pray that so many people who are listening to this and hear this, that they too will share their experiences with a dog they never met. I cannot drive that home enough, that it's going to be amazing, the insights that people who are just hearing this story are going to see themselves in it so perfectly. And it has to be, it has to be. It wouldn't make any sense. You've lived around animals. I've lived around animals, was raised around them. I've seen plenty of death from both humans and animals, and never has one had such an impact on me.
Yeah, it was YAH's hand to show us something, as you said, so simple yet so profound. And the lessons do keep coming, and I keep reflecting and seeing myself in her story, and how I just want to try to be better. I want to try to be like our Messiah. I want to walk in that same path. And this dog showed me so much about myself, and everyone that I've talked to has also seen that in themselves. They see her story, that struggle and that feeling of just not fitting into the world and being starved and rejected, and it's difficult. And then you finally find that place where you found home, and you found that place of rest, and to be joyful, to be happy. And I think that it's time to embrace that. I think YAHUAH is showing us it's time to really embrace that we are truly in his presence, that he truly loves us and is nourishing us, healing and restoring what was lost, the dry bones being restored, our hope being restored in us. Yeah. She had hope when she realized, wow, she's being fed and given water. And I know he's leading us to green pastures. He's shown it to me in several ways. So I just know where he's leading us, and that's good enough for me. I don't have to know all the details of how that is going to happen, but I just see him leading us to green pastures, to a place of nourishment and healing, to a place of just rest, and to be joyful in him, and to truly be a light in this world, however it plays out. And this dog showed me so much about loyalty. From the minute she knew her name, the master calling her name, and I had given her a new name, and because I didn't know what her name was prior. But she knew her name. She knew it to be Rose. And she was loyal. She would just stay with me wherever I walked, all around the property. She would walk right with me, a loyal little friend. I didn't have to train her. And that's what I want to be. Like I've learned, where it says we hear his voice and follow him. I can just see that, I just want to be right there by his side, our Messiah's side, and I am right tailing him. I'm right by his side,
right,
wherever he goes. So many lessons in this. And then I saw a white butterfly for 2 days, a white little butterfly. Now, whether it means anything or not, it just felt like something to me, like, there's just a freedom in being able to fly around, and how you're released from the body of suffering, that there's life after death, however that looks right now. There's different opinions. That doesn't necessarily matter, but there's eternal life after this.
Yeah.
And
it's funny that you mentioned the white butterfly again. That's because immediately what I think of is a transformed nature. I think of white as being, the symbolic in Scripture of righteousness, of those white robes, of cloaked in the righteousness of Messiah through his Father. And I think of that transformation from that caterpillar, from that crawling on the ground to that beautiful, free, and wondrous righteousness of YAHUAH. It's like that's exactly what we were, crawling on the ground like snakes on its belly. But through him, through the transformation of his word, his love, his kindness, and his compassion, we too became those white butterflies cloaked in his righteousness through his son's sacrifice on our behalf. So I don't think it was an accident. You saw it twice or 3 times.
Yeah, for sure. And it did remind me of her and our lives and how he does transform us and, changes our very nature and helps us to bloom and blossom for him and to be that rose. So, yeah, I think it's our mantle is to carry on these things for the ones who have passed on. Like I feel a mantle for my mom and my brother and other family members, to carry on their memory and Rose. Just a powerful lesson. And Yah did bring that because it was just such a powerful, Sabbath. And it was the fact that it was my house and could have been anywhere, it could have been any other house. So just the chances are very slim with where I live and where she lay down to even be seen. It was just too Yah, Yah's hand was all in it. It was just very powerful. So we say, we'll see her again, and however that works, I don't get into those things. Whatever Yah's plan is, I just know that I'm grateful for the time I had with her, and that if it does help us reflect on ourselves and our own journey and to know his love even greater, that even for a dog, he would give her rest and to be happy in the last hours that she had. So,
yeah, how much more will he do for us?
How much more? Absolutely. How much more?
When they asked him, they said, "What is man that you care for him so much?" It's exactly what he's showing us. I'm showing you what you are. You're everything to me. So much so that my son decided that he would die for you. I gave to him an opportunity to do something for you. That's how much that I would withhold not even my own son. That's how much.
Yeah.
And he does, and he doesn't stop punctuating it along the way. So it's beautiful. I think it's wonderful, and I'm actually I'm surprised that we both got through this without breaking down.
I think I did a little bit in the beginning, but that's okay. That's all right.
Yeah. It's touching. It's because you feel his hand on it, and it feels very personal. It's like it happened to you, but it feels like it happened to me. And everyone you've talked to said the same thing. It feels like it happened to them. They have love for a dog they never saw, they never met, they barely heard about. It choked up Doe the other day too. I mean, he too was being choked up by it because it brings back everything. It was a very personal message for each and every person, and a collective one. And to take his time, it's like a love note,
Yeah.
It really was. It was like finding a rose on your pillow.
Oh, sure was. Oh, she really was impactful. Just her personality and just how amazing that experience was. Just a dog that was just so loyal and loving, and you wouldn't think that from really a dog that didn't know you and that was starving. And so, and everyone that I've talked to about it has been impacted by it, but knows that it's a powerful story, and it is the hand of Yah, and it is a time of reflection, and it's a time of blooming and blossoming for his kingdom, that no matter what, will he not do more for his people? If he allows, a dog to find her way here, like you said, how much more would he do for us in that comfort and love? Because so many people are struggling, and I truly see it as a time of entering into that healing, that restoration, that refreshing, that place of comfort, that place of resting and to be joyful in him, despite what's going on in the world. You see, that the world was still happening, and she could have still been out in the world, but no, she found a place to come and find rest and comfort. So her journey of that misery was over. once she found her way here. And I just see the same thing as how Yah brings us into his comfort and his rest. And we're still here, but our journey out there in the suffering and the way that we did, that's over. And now we can rest in him, knowing that the hand of our Father is there to move on our behalf, and he's protecting us, and comforting us and shielding us from the elements of the world. And how can we expect to be protected from anything if we're not under his shelter? If we're out there, uncovered out in the world, just meaning because like I said, you can still be in the world, but not of it. And so it's like you have to be in that spiritual place with him, in that protective place. And I see him moving us to green pastures and restoring his people. I have seen it. I still see it, and I still believe it. And he showed me through this little dog, So I hope it impacts other people too, to see that love is the answer. Doesn't mean we give into the sinful nature. That's not what it means. It means love is the answer, though, for all things, to heal.
And not only that, she was a great way to show us how we should keep our Shabbats. She came with no demands. She emptied herself out. She came just simply seeking love and compassion. That's how he wants us to come to him on a Shabbat. On that day, he wants to replenish us and refill us. She was starved. She was thirsty. She needed love and compassion. That's how he wants us to come. Starved for that word. Thirsty for the living waters. Ready for his kindness and compassion to fill us up and refresh us. It's a perfect way to how we should be keeping Shabbat, not the way we've been keeping it. So many. I hope they get that. I hope they see that message.
Yes, because the Shabbat is the healing day, is the day that we really do receive a double portion, and we get to be filled with his love and his restoration within us. So the Sabbath is a healing day. That's why our Messiah healed on the Sabbath. He was restoring the Sabbath rest within them, within the people. He was healing, all the wounds and things, the sin nature and all that, and removing the burden from their lives, and healing people. Yeah. And truly, once we understand that, the healing comes, the restoration comes. So yeah, I hope to do more videos on that very thing, because the Sabbath is a sign forever, and that we're his, and then he heals us, he heals our wounds.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot more to be gleaned out of this. I think it may not be focused, or it may be focused around Rose, but it certainly will be focused around Yah's message through her, that's for sure. And I pray that, again, people hear this and they too are touched in a way that they hear the message for them, and they want to share it as well. I think it's beautiful. It's just so wonderful. All these scriptures I think about, about us, worrying, and, we worry for so much, and the world has got us worried about everything. And doesn't he say in Matthew 6:26, behold, the fowls of the air, they don't sow, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, but your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much better than they? So,
absolutely.
And it says, and which one of you taking thought, which is to worry, can add 1 cubit to his height? So I think there's so much. If you read chapter 6 of Path Remnant, you'll see so much of the message too. Like I said, the messages are boundless, because it's a personal message to you, to your very being. It's come into his shalom, come into his rest, come taste that the Messiah is good, and stay there. like I said, there's so many things that came and are coming constantly from scripture to scripture, and it may not seem to some people, it may go, well, how's that tie into that? And I'm like, because that's the message I'm getting. Everyone's going to have something that it's going to be profound. I really think this is going to be something that's going to touch many lives.
Yeah, I think so. And, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, and this is part of her testimony and ours as well.
Very much so.
Yeah. Well, I just thank you for wanting to do this video and this little tribute to her, and what a joy. I'm not, I was sad, of course, at first, but then I decided with anything, you can remain in the sadness, or you can be joyful for the time you had. And so I just rejoiced at the time that I got to spend with her, and how much more for our brethren, for the people that we get to meet. It just shows me that we really have to embrace the love that Yah wants us to have for one another.
Right.
Yeah, and not regret, because again, we don't know how life will go. No one does. So yeah, I didn't know that she would only have 11 days. So would I have done more? I don't know. I mean, but with any situation, we can look at that and say, how can I do better today? How can I be better today? How can I bloom more today? So thank you for doing this video with me, Branches.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. I'm and praise Yah for putting this in all of our lives, for opening up our eyes to see His wonders are extended to us in the smallest of ways and the smallest of things, if we're just ready to see them. I'm so thankful to Him for this little love note that He sent me through, again, a dog I never met. I am so thankful for this. It is beyond touching. It really was a rose on the pillow of life. I'm so thankful.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. Yeah, me too. I'm grateful for how it touched me as well, and just showed me so much about how I want to move forward with life, and how to really bring His kingdom on earth as it is in the Shamayim. And that's the thing.
And I'm thankful to Him for you. I'm thankful that He brought you into my life, and that we've been able to share so many wonderful things that we've gotten from Him, and that many other people have also gotten things from that, and themselves gotten message that helped fill in the pieces, that small portion that each one of us got to help fill up the cup more, so that each person gleaned more from the message that they're getting, from the words that they're getting. So I praise Yah for my video that drew you to me.
Yeah, I know. I've been so grateful to that all the pieces of the puzzle that, we each have a little piece that He gives us. And that's why we need one another. We need family. And I told you because I lost my brother a few years ago, YAHUAH you didn't replace my brother, but I told you that I felt like Yah brought you into my life, you and your wife into my life, and you were my brother. It didn't replace mine, but He gave me another brother, and so I told you that, and that's what it is. I mean, that's what it felt like to me. It's Yah's hand again, and we do fill in these pieces of the puzzle so that we really see the bigger picture.
Yeah, and you said it best. You said it best just a minute ago. How much we need one another. A foot needs a toe. A hand needs a finger. A face needs the eyes. Ears need. We need one another. We absolutely all have something together. We are a body. We are pieces of the body, and none more important or less important, but each one serves a function And yeah, I feel the same way. I feel even though I have a sister, I feel that he gave me a sister in him that I could share these things with, because I don't have one. I have a wonderful wife, and brethren out there, but yeah, in you, I mean, the conversations flow and the hours go by, and your wonderful kids and husband and all that you have that have allowed me to take of your time as they have, and not demanded of you anything more than, but allowed it to. That's Yah's hand in it. So I couldn't be more grateful to him for all of you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. He's really doing a work on our hearts, that's for sure. And only YAHUAH can do that. It's amazing. It's amazing what he does.
It is. Well, sis, I guess we'll let the insights come, and we'll probably separately and collectively get back together. And like I said, hopefully more people will come forth and want to share what they gleaned out of Rose, out of the message that Yah has given us, and share so that more and more brethren will be drawn to Yah and to light and to love and to compassion.
Absolutely.
And
I think it opens a door for people to begin to share their testimonies, even, not necessarily, regarding Rose, but just their testimonies. So I'm hoping to see more of that, what y'all have done for other people, for sure.
Me too. Well, everybody, we love you. We thank you for coming in and checking out this podcast and listening to us. And again, we pray that there's something here that you get from this little love note that we were given. We feel that it was for every single one of you out there, anyone who listens. We think that there's so much to be gleaned. And we will hear you and talk to you and see you again, as Sis always says.
Yah willing.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.